Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. I'm in my car and you're listening to the most horsepowerful podcast on the internet. It's the Xbox Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my friend Ryan Turford. He's the man on the moose and on our journey today. We look forward to all the games that are coming out in September and October and maybe more than that. And also Forza released a whole list of cars that we may or may not be talking about. So jump on into the Xbox Drive. Bah!
No power greater than X.
Hello, Sean Capri.
Stop me now, Ryan Turford. I'm in a mood. I'm good to talk to you, man. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I can't keep up with your energy, Sean, but I'm going to do my best.
You never can. Nobody can.
At least you don't have
in the dust.
At least you don't have tired Ryan on the show this week. At least you've got that going for you. But
Yep.
but I'm going to do what I can because, you know, this is the Xbox Drive. We talk about Xbox all the time except for right now.
Yep.
Of course, we should clean the garage a little bit because there's lots of things on the docket to talk about on the Cleaning the Garage segment, including, number one, if you want to support the show, if you like what we do, of course, there's a number of awesome ways that you can do that. Number one, you can subscribe to us on your podcast service of choice, whether that's Google Play, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on all the things, so you can go definitely subscribe to us there. You can also, speaking of subscribing, head on over to youtube.com/YouMeCapri, where you can see a video version of this show, as well as other shows as well. You can see our beautiful faces every single week, and you can like, subscribe, share there as well. And I know Kato talked about it on the Nintendo Drive, and yes, it is super important to do all that stuff to kind of grow the channel and get it kind of noticed. So it would be awesome if y'all did that, even if you left a comment saying, I am here for the algorithm.
Yes.
that
All
we always
hail the
love when
rhythm.
people do that. Yes, exactly. That's Sean's response every time someone says that as well. Also, another thing you can do as well is if you subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, you can also leave us a Apple Podcasts review. And if you leave a 5-star review, we'll read it on the show, including one that we have a little bit later on here in this segment. But we also have, Sean, this contest going on for this Space Jam Goon Squad controller. I think the current count is at 72 reviews.
We're almost there. We can do it. We need 3 more reviews, man. That's it. 3 more, and this is it. I'm actually holding the controller right now, Ryan. I'm not in my car. I'm in my room. The kids are taking the dog to the vet. He's not doing so great. So I'm in my office right now. But here's the controller on the YouTube video. 3 more freaking reviews, and we did it, man. That's awesome.
We're almost there, Sean. So, of course, friends, if you want a chance at a free controller, because again, all you have to do to enter is just leave an Apple Podcast review, and that's it. Then you're in the drawing, and we'll ship it to you wherever you are. So, go ahead, leave it on Apple Podcasts, and we will draw a winner when we get 3 more reviews, and we'll announce the winner on Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, you can find us on Twitter at YouMeCaprice, where we tweet about all kinds of things. Last but not least, Sean, Halo Saturdays are currently ongoing. I know we're going to be talking about that as kind of a hot topic this week. So, of course, Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, twitch.tv/Sean Capri. You can join our Discord, which is free to join. The link is in the show notes. You can play Halo with us every Saturday night. We were doing co-op the last couple weeks, but if we get enough players, we'll play, competitive multiplayer and shoot each other in the face, and it'll be fun. All right. Before we get to the playlist, where I know we're going to want to talk about what happened this week on Halo Saturday, we got 2 comments that I want to read. So number one, we got a YouTube comment on last week's YouTube video that I want to go over real quick. This is from Eric Cave, and he says, "Hey Sean, congrats on breaking 100K gamer score." Because you did it, Sean. You finally got there.
I'm in the club. Man. It's I feel really honored. I was kind of hoping that somebody might send me something, but Eric's comment is reward enough, man.
You're one of us now, Sean. You're one of the few, the privileged, the 100K club for achievements. So there you go. And then we have our Apple Podcast review, as I kind of mentioned. This is from, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. If not, please correct me in the comments. Be nice about it. This is from Eric Hoya. The title of this review is Incredibly Fun and Engaging Show About Everything Xbox. And they say, I'm incredibly skeptical about console-specific podcasts since they usually devolve into fanboy hating about the other console.
Yeah.
The Xbox Drive is nothing like that, and in a good way. They consistently have a positive outlook on things and also give their honest opinions about games. What's not to like about a show where a guy is in his car and orders a Diet Coke and coffee on the air, and the other host is on a moose? Honestly, though, if you enjoy playing video games, I think you'll dig this podcast. So thank you so much for that very nice review and for taking the time to write all that out and for letting us know what you think. I mean, the Diet Coke.
That's the takeaway. That's the takeaway from the show, man. One guy's in his car, the other guy's on a moose. Like, that's it.
I mean,
maybe we
I've
should
got to
redo
drive
our art.
something around, Sean.
We might have to redo our iTunes artwork. We might need to have a moose represented on there somehow, my friend.
It's true. I mean, we did create that art pre-Moose Days, Sean.
It was pre-Moose Days, yeah.
So, I mean, that's just how this works. But enough about that. Let's grab our 8 tracks, pop them in. It is time for the playlist. And Sean, before I go to you, I'm going to very quickly wrap up what I played this week, which is pretty much nothing, because I didn't want to start anything new because of the deluge of games coming this week.
It's happening.
That are very much Ryan Turford games. I mean, for the most part on Xbox, all I played is a little more Aliens Fireteam Elite, which was fun. I'm still really enjoying my time with it. But I think I'm kind of putting it down this week because of all the games coming out this weekend. There's plenty of Ryan Turford games coming out this week, which we're going to kind of go over them a little bit later on the show. So I don't want to get into them now. But then the other thing I played is something we played together that kind of segues into what you played, Sean. Yeah. Because we played Halo 3 on your stream this week. We played co-op. We had started the campaign co-op 2 weeks ago. And then we played again on stream this week and basically played through the last half of the game. And I had a lot of fun. But what did you think, Sean? Did you have a lot of fun?
You know how I feel about it. Well, I want to start with you. Like, oh man, I don't even know where to start with this because I am of a couple minds on this. I don't even know if I should say this, Ryan. Should I just say it? You can say it.
You can say it. It's cool.
I think Halo 3 is overrated. I think it might be overrated. I think that it's fine. I think that we had a lot of fun playing together. There was 4 of us all playing, and that's a huge part of people's Halo experience is playing together. But like, I just don't know if this is like to be, I don't know, marveled in the way that it is. I think I'm excited to move on to some of the others. I think it was about last year, you and I and a few others had played through the Reach campaign, and I will say, now that is a campaign. Like, I think in some ways, and maybe some of this comes from me actually liking Halo 5, and for some people, that will just immediately invalidate everything I'm saying here about Halo 3. It's like, oh, guy likes Halo 5. What could you possibly say about Halo 3? Like, I just think that the gunplay and the gameplay, especially in a co-op setting for Halo 5, is better than people remember it. And Halo 3 was fine. I think that last mission is actually not very good at all, especially as a co-op experience where basically 2 of us kind of had to just sit and watch you drive across the little tinfoil planks that we had to drive across to escape the big bad explosion. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to spend a whole heck of a lot of time bashing Halo 3, but I just played it. It's very fresh. We played it with co-op. We played with people that we like and that we enjoy. And I still come away with that going like, I kind of want to go to Halo 4 now. I kind of want to like try Halo 5 again with some people who maybe haven't played in a little while, who for whatever reason have it in their head that game sucks. And it totally doesn't suck. As our good friend Brock McLaughlin just tweeted, he said, there are no bad Halo games. And that's what I will come back to even on as I'm kind of bashing Halo 3. I'm not saying it's a bad game. But I just wonder, it might be a little overrated. So yeah, I'm good to be done with it. But I think we'll move on, man. Halo 4 might be next. And there's a growing community of people who think that Halo 4 is very good, if not great. And I think I count myself in that community, my friend.
Yeah, whereas I think, and we've talked about this on the show a few times, where I kind of feel the reverse about it. And you know what? I don't think either of us are technically wrong. I think when I think about Halo 4 and 5, I just think they have a very different style than all of the previous Halo games, like all the Halo games pre-4. And it just depends on kind of what style of game you're looking for, I think. Yes, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Halo 3 is necessarily a perfect game.
I'm looking for a style of game where it's clear on where you have to go next.
Well,
I don't want to be wandering around. I think that's probably my key if I'm going to focus in on something. I think level design is not all it's cracked up to be in Halo 3.
I guess, but when I play Halo 4, I feel the exact opposite way, where I feel like I'm more lost in those environments than Halo 3. Whereas, and maybe it's just I played Halo 3 so much. Whereas I did play all these games last year, so they're kind of all fresh in my mind. Even Halo 5, which I still kind of feel the same way about Halo 5 as I did when I first played it, even kind of revisiting last year. But I think that's just, different strokes for different folks. Like, again, to your point, I don't think there's a bad Halo game, and even if you say it's overrated, that's totally cool. We're still friends, Sean, and I hope you and I can still be friends, even though I don't like Halo 5 and Halo 4.
Well, of course. I joke around about it. Of course, that's the case. What I think is maybe most pertinent about the takeaway from this conversation is that I think is interesting leading up to Halo Infinite, where there are now like just such a a broad and a wide variety of what people think a Halo game should be or could be. And that's it, man. Like it's been said before, but I think it's worth reiterating is how do you make a Halo game to please everybody? There's no way.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things that I really, really like about what 343 does with 4 and 5, and then there's certain things that people want, they despise that. They want it to go back to all the things that made Halo 1, 2, and 3, Halo 1, 2, and 3. So I think that's a big challenge. We'll see what happens with it. I'm still excited about Halo Infinite. That doesn't change anything. But yeah, it's just kind of fun to spend our Saturdays and revisiting that alongside some of the other games that we've been playing as well.
Yeah, for sure. And to your point as well, like I'm someone who has never really liked kind of 343 style. I didn't really like Halo 4 and 5, but I am still excited about Halo Reach. I still want to give it a try. Yeah. I still want to give it a chance.
Infinite.
And sorry, Halo Infinite. You're right. That's a game
I'm
really excited to play despite kind of my misgivings with 343. So
yeah.
I am also very excited to play it, and we will find out more in a couple months. It's only a few months away, Sean. Only 3 months at this point before Halo Infinite is out. I almost said Halo 3 Reach again, but that's beyond the point.
We got to get you a coffee today, man. We got to drive you around to a coffee shop or something.
I'm just off my A game today. But Sean, before we transition out of the playlist, you also played another game. So tell me about that.
Do you want to hear about Mini Tour Golf? Is that what it was even called?
I sure do. Tell me about it.
This is a cute little indie game. It's really just mini golf, and honestly, what I will tell you about it, Ryan, is that it's a quick way to 1,000 gamer score on it. It's multiplayer based. You play through a couple rounds of mini golf, pretty standard stuff. Like you got your windmill and those kind of things, winding paths. You got some pipes to punch it through, or like the loop-de-loops, that kind of thing. Nothing too crazy. Very intuitive in the way that it plays. You kind of hold down the A button and it will and you direct your shot. And as you hold the button, it'll kind of go. Are you going to go for a hard shot? And you let go at like 90%, or you let go at 15, 20%. For a harder or softer shot. And it was just kind of a quick romp that I had. I've been mainly playing Hades is really the main squeeze I've got on right now. But I came across this game. It's sort of like, it needs a little bit of polish on it in terms of like the menus and the UI. Sometimes I'm not sure what I'm actually highlighting. But it's very lightweight, very cute, and just had a lot of fun with it. So if people are looking at my gamer score in particular, they'll see, I think, 900 or 920, something like that on this one. So yeah, just that's really it. That's all I'll say about that game.
I did see that your gamer score just shot up this month on the charts, Sean. I'm like, man, I thought I was going to be close to Sean this early into the month, but no, you're just light years ahead of me already.
No, I fired up Boyfriend Dungeon for, I think, a hot second. Kataria Fables is another kind of indie game that we were able to get a code for, and I kind of just fired that up. But kind of just dancing around, honestly. I should be finishing Psychonauts too. But and 12 Minutes is still on deck for me as well. But we got games coming up as well. So I'm just bouncing right now, man. I don't know.
It's that time. It's the calm before the storm, because I can imagine you and I both, made some purchases this week, so we're going to probably talk about those in future weeks, maybe even on different shows as well, like you with the Nintendo Drive, for example, or me with
WarioWare will be on the Nintendo Drive. I do want to talk to you about Sonic, though. I don't know if that's part of our notes, but at some point
we'll talk about it in kind of the game releases for this month.
That's what I thought.
And also, I'm going to be playing WarioWare 2, just admittedly, because I'm excited to actually play it. I have my copy coming on Friday, so I'm excited to play that. But enough about all that. Let's slam the brakes on this conversation. It is time for some breaking news. And Sean, I might shock you. There's like no news this week.
There's nothing.
I mean, a lot of the news is on the PlayStation end this week, because they announced their showcase that's happening tomorrow. And if anything Xbox related comes from that, we'll be talking about on the show next week. So for the most part, as far as Xbox news, there's not much, but we did get one news story that I want to pull in here. Although I would argue this story is probably a little less exciting for us over on the Xbox side, but let's get into it. So Alan Wake Remastered actually leaked as part of this Epic Game Score listing for the game, but it was actually formally announced on a blog post on the Alan Wake website, confirming that sometime this fall, you'll be getting Alan Wake Remastered on Xbox One, Series X, and S. They didn't really say anything else beyond that point. They said we'll be getting a trailer for it soon, in quotations. I think they just came out and basically put up the blog post as soon as it leaked, just to basically say, hey, it's here, and we'll tell you about it later kind of thing. Because I don't think they actually intended to announce it this early. In fact, I think this is the the type of video that was probably going to be in like the PlayStation showcase tomorrow, because they made a big deal in the blog post that it was coming to PlayStation consoles for the very first time.
Sure.
So they're heavily emphasizing the fact that this is coming to PlayStation. But for us on Xbox, I mean, and this is why I'm a little bit less excited about that, but I'm curious to know what you think, Sean, is that we already have Alan Wake. It got 1X enhancements. It's already backwards compatible, and you can pick it up for under $5 right now on Xbox Live. Whereas I can imagine this might not be a full price game, but this still might be like a $40, $50 game. So it's hard to maybe justify without seeing it anyways why, as Xbox fans, we should be super excited about this announcement. I am hoping that it's going to be awesome. I hope that they are able to do a lot of visual improvements, although again, the original Alan Wake on 360, since it came out in 2011, so it's only 10 years old, combined with the X enhancements, it still looks really good today, like if you play the backwards compatible version. So I'm curious to know, Sean, what do you think about this announcement? Are you at all excited about this? Where's your head at with this one?
It's weird because, yeah, you're right. They're definitely pushing the now on PlayStation kind of thing. And almost, I don't know if I'm just a little sensitive to this sort of thing, but it almost feels like you're turning your back on like the community that like bought it to begin with. Like what's wrong with the Xbox fan base that that they're not kind of like going like, hey, you were there with us from the start, like now we're back with you, and then also is coming to PlayStation. Like I can't help but feel like sometimes this remedy like scenario that we find ourselves in almost feels like spiteful towards Xbox. Like they're working with, it seems like they're partnering with everybody but Xbox, and almost like reluctantly putting it also on Xbox controller or Xbox consoles, where like they're partnering with Epic. It seemed like they could have maybe continued on with Microsoft. Now Crossfire is maybe the counter argument to what I'm saying here, but it just feels like this was a Xbox exclusive that, yeah, it is a big deal that it's coming for the first time to another console, but yeah, why not celebrate its heritage? I don't know, man. It's a little strange. And to your point as well, just get the older version. You know, maybe that's the reason why.
It's the exact same thing I said about the Ninja Gaiden collection that came out this summer. Like, it was cool to see those games kind of get like a little bit of visual enhancements, but at the same time, they didn't really run or look better than what we have on back compat for any of those games. So at that point, then you would either spend $10 per game because it's a trilogy of games, so you get all three for less than $30, or you buy the $70 HD collection that doesn't really add a whole lot. So I think it's really going to come down to what they add to this, I guess, is to whether or not it's going to be worth whatever price they're going to charge for it. But
it's just marketing, man. It's just
for
that
us
it's
on
new
Xbox
and it's hyped
side.
up.
Yeah. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong. If they do something like they did for, what EA did for Mass Effect Legendary Edition, I think that's a situation where I think it actually warranted that price point, even though it is on backwards compatible.
There's also 3 games there. Yeah.
There is also 3 games.
That was one of the best buys this entire year, though, if you really think about it. Like, for that price, for what they did to that trilogy, like, that was... Yeah. I didn't even get through 2 or 3, and I still have no regrets.
Yeah, especially like what they did with just Mass Effect 1 in particular. It just felt like a new game. So, yeah, I'm curious to see how far they go with Alan Wake. I imagine they're not going to go to that point because again, it's not like they had to structurally change really anything about Alan Wake this time around because it already runs and plays really well. So
yeah, they could feel better though. I feel like sometimes, like I don't know if I remember it controlling. You played it more recently than me, but I don't think that I like would write home about wow, that game like controlled really fluidly and like the camera and the animations of the character. I don't know, and I don't think that they were bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it's however many years old. So I think you're going to see good frames. You're going to see good kind of shading and art direction. I think those are things that carry through with Alan Wake. But yeah, like how does it feel is what was really updated with Mass Effect.
Well, it actually felt really good to play when I played it last year for the Roundabout. So
good. Okay.
Because it really just felt like playing Quantum Break just without like the time powers, and more having to balance kind of getting batteries for your flashlight and stuff like that. But for the most part,
I might have to do exactly what you're saying.
Like that,
I might just have to put this disc in and see what happens because I don't remember loving it, but I haven't played it in a long time, and I still have my 360 disc, so. That should work, right? I pop in my disc in my Series X and get my 1X
I'll just install to the hard drive.
Just totally do that. I got nothing else to play,
Yeah, I mean, you already own a copy of the game, at that point.
I really do.
What else do you have to lose? So
exactly.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with it because if the trailer looks really impressive, then I'm like, maybe I'm excited about this. But at this point, I'm like, for us, at least on Xbox side, it's probably they have to kind of prove to us why we need this upgrade. Whereas I'm
That
sure
probably-
Matt and I on the PlayStation Drive tomorrow are probably gonna have a different conversation because that's from the lens of PlayStation. So
That
it's a
probably
little bit
answers the
different.
marketing question that I asked before. Like that it just doesn't. Why bother marketing it to Xbox people if they already know that they have a better option or an easier pathway? Maybe that answers where the focus lies.
Yeah, because even if there are some updates to the visuals, like, is it going to be worth $40 worth of upgrades, let's say, to the visuals? Like, that's really what we're going to have to ask
People are
ourselves.
hyped about Alan Wake, man. I did not see this coming. I don't remember it being a gigantic game in the past, so we'll see how it sells. It's got the advantage
It's
of being
become
on all
a cult
platforms.
classic over the years.
Yeah, that's for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there you go. All right. And then since we're out of news stories, I actually wanted to rip off the Nintendo Drive a little bit, Sean, because the Nintendo Drive over the last 2 weeks has done kind of the preview for the fall season.
Yeah.
And kind of talked about what games are coming out in Nintendo land. And since we've got so many games coming to Xbox in September, I think it's going to take us a few minutes just to go through the September one. So I think that's where we're going to kind of leave off today.
Sure.
And then we'll come to this when we have another show where we need more time to talk about stuff. Although, again, for the next couple weeks, friends of the show, we're mostly going to be talking about games, like spending more time talking about games that we've been playing. Because I imagine that we're going to be playing a lot more games over the next couple weeks. So that's kind of where our focus is going to be. But let's get into this. So just out this week, Sean, and this is a pretty big list. So let me go through it. And then we'll talk about each one kind of individually. So we got Sonic Colors Ultimate, The Artful Escape, Life is Strange True Colors,
Good God.
Lost in Random, NBA 2K22, and Tales of Arise. All out by the time Friday rolls around this week. That's a lot of games.
6 games this week. There are 7 days in this week, man. What the heck?
A new game every single day. And that's, again, just on Xbox. We're not including any, because there's a bunch of Nintendo and PlayStation releases this week, too.
Sure.
So let's talk about Sonic Colors Ultimate, because I know you and Kato talked about it a lot on yesterday's show. And I know that you and I were both actually pretty excited to pick up Sonic Colors Ultimate. So I know that you tweeted out that you were not sure how you should feel about Sonic Colors.
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, what are you supposed to do? So I will say because I know that we're not reviewing it for Yumi Capri at this point, unless you're going to do a review for it or something like that. But for reading all of other people's reviews who played it on Xbox or PlayStation, the bugs and glitches that had been reported were not really a thing that any reviewer really ran into playing it on those two consoles. It was really
good. I saw Digital Foundry did a thing. I saw they had a video I was going to still check out, because that's where I'm leaning in the moment, in case anybody was wondering, as I was going to just pick it up on Xbox. Because WarioWare will be on Switch, so that's kind of where I'm thinking. I'll do Sonic on Xbox with all the frames. Is it 120 frames? Or did they just do 60 on this one?
I
Maybe
can't
they just
remember
did
off the top of
60.
my head. I think it's only 60, but I never pay attention to 120 frames because I don't have a TV that really supports it.
But 4K 60 would be nice if that's the case.
Yeah, I definitely know it's 4K 60. I just can't remember if it's 120 at all. But
Gotcha.
yeah, so I think that Xbox fans are probably safe. The funny wrinkle that I know, I don't think you and Kito brought up yesterday, and I don't know if you knew this, Sean, but the studio that did the Switch port is actually the same studio that did the WWE 2K18 on Switch. And I don't know if you remember that game.
Oh,
but
no
that was like
way.
the hilariously broken
I did
WWE
not know
game
that.
on Switch. So I think that plays into it a little bit. I can't believe Sega actually went back to them. They were like, oh, they did such a great job with WWE 2K18, so let's have them do Sonic Colors on Switch, I guess.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, so for me, I'm definitely picking up Sonic Colors still. I'm probably going to wait on it at this point, though, because you never know. There might still be some problems with it.
Yeah.
Especially because there's so many games that I already want to play this week. Because it moved from basically being a game I was very excited to play this week to much farther down the ranking. And I'll definitely probably play it before the end of the month, but definitely not this week.
What's taking your time? Because I'm probably still going to get it, but I think I know which game is going to be taking up your time this week.
So Tales of Arise.
Yeah.
When you had the Sweet Hangs gaming tier list, Sean, I'd actually shared with you my tier list ahead of time because I kind of proofread the tier list, and it's one of my 3 S tier games for this year.
Yeah.
The games that I'm basically willing to pretty much drop everything and play. And I'm
Nice.
so excited for Tales. I know reviews came out this morning, but I've been avoiding them like the plague because I don't want to know anything about it, because we will be doing a review for Tales.
Yeah.
That will be popping up as an RPG Cave special that'll also be on the Xbox Drive feed as well as the PlayStation Drive feeds as well. So that's my number one. But then Life is Strange True Colors, Sean, is a close second. I've been waiting for a new Life is Strange game for a long time. I really loved Tell Me Why last year, and
So did I.
Just so excited to play True Colors. I'm very excited to get into that, and we're currently working out what we're going to be doing with coverage for that game, but I think we might have something special.
Ooh, I don't even know what that is.
Life is Strange.
I probably do.
I'll tell you after the show is over. But
I'm like, you probably told me. I don't remember.
I'm very excited if that all comes to fruition, because it's still not finalized yet. I'm pretty sure we're going to have something pretty cool to accompany that game. So those are the two for me. What about the Artful Escape? Is that a game you're interested in playing this week, Sean?
I feel like I'm letting people down on this one. It's not really on my radar, and I don't know exactly why. I feel like I just need to like watch a trailer again and refresh my memory on what this is. I seem to remember it being at like I don't even know. It's some sort of like Gamescom showcase or something. I don't know. It's not on my radar though, so I can't even pretend at the moment.
Yeah, I think they had a trailer during the Jeff Keighley show, and then I know it was at the Xbox E3 showing as well, because it's been touted as like a big Game Pass game this month.
It is Game Pass. Okay, then there you go. I don't even have to buy it.
No, exactly. That's why like everyone's gonna have access to it. So that's another game too where I'm like, I kind of want to play that at some point this month, but I don't know when I'm gonna have time for it. It just depends on how long Tales ends up being. So out of anything else this week, Sean, is there anything this week that kind of plays to your strengths or something you're interested in at all?
It's Sonic. NBA just confuses me to no end. I don't know why they make basketball so complicated. I love those games. They look really good. Tales, I might just have to wait on. I don't know that it's like quite at the same level as you in terms of like dropping everything else, but I did really enjoy Tales of Berseria, which is probably the most that I've put any time into a Tales game. So I'm excited to hear about your review, but probably not a this week thing. I gotta limit myself a little bit. It's gonna be Sonic Colors on Xbox and then WarioWare this week on Nintendo Switch for me.
Makes sense. And then moving on for the rest of the month. So on the 16th, we're getting Skatebird. It's finally coming out after years and years of delays or
pretty rough demo too. Did you try the demo this summer?
I did. So first of all, not only did I try the demo this summer, I tried the demo last summer because they did two demos for Skatebird, and both times I felt it was really rough. So
yeah, agreed.
This is a type of game where I think I'm gonna, even though it's on Game Pass, I'm gonna wait for reviews maybe before I get a chance to jump in and play it. But then moving on to the next week, that's when we're getting a lot more new releases. So we've got Sable, which is coming on September 23rd, and Lost Judgment coming the next day on September 24th.
Are these Game Pass games? Do you know off the top of your head if Sable or Lost Judgment is Game Pass?
Sable is Game Pass, Lost Judgment is not. But I will say for Lost Judgment, for those that are looking to pick it up on Xbox, Jimenez, who's kind of like the Wario 64 equivalent for us here in Canada, has mentioned multiple times and even tweeted this morning that the game is currently up on Xbox for $55, where it's normally supposed to be listed at $79.99 here in Canada. So there's actually a steep discount, and he doesn't know why, because the physical copies aren't discounted at all, and I don't think it's supposed to be on sale. So I mean, if you want to pick it up, now is kind of the time to play it. Play that, because Lost Judgment is kind of like the Yakuza successor games, where you play as a detective, and it's more of a beat 'em up action game versus what Yakuza, the mainline series, is doing, where it's more of a RPG now after Like a Dragon. So, but Sable's a Game Pass game, which is why of the two of these games, one of the two of them, I think that's the one I'm going to play. I think because I've heard a lot of great things about Sable's demo, and I know people are excited about it. I still haven't checked out the demo, but it's because I know that it's coming to Game Pass day one, so I know that I'll probably install and play it when it comes out. But are you excited about Sable, Sean? Did you play the demo? I can't remember.
No, I didn't play the demo. I kind of had a look at it, and it didn't really grab me, unfortunately. Who made this one? I'm trying to remember. Oh, Shedworks. That's not a developer that I recognize. No, I don't know. It has a really cool art style to it, but I don't know, man. Probably not. I guess we'll kind of see how the rumor mill goes around about it and how people are talking about it. But I don't think that's one. I don't think that's one that I need to play.
Makes sense. I mean, the nice thing is it's on Game Pass, so even if we don't play it right away, it'll still be there probably a couple months. Might give it a try.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Yeah, Game Pass changes everything. Like, this is a very different conversation than the one that Kato and I had on the Nintendo Drive, because I had to make dollar decisions there, and I don't know that I need to have like quite the same level of precision or criticism with this list. It's like, well, why not? Why wouldn't I try this? It looks interesting. I think it's just a matter of like, what else have I got going on at that time? And just, again, this is more of a showcase on Game Pass for September, I think, really.
Yeah, for sure. And then speaking of Game Pass, on September 30th, we're getting another Game Pass game, one that I, Ryan Turford, am very excited about. Astria Ascending, which is a new Japanese role-playing game. It's turn-based. It looks really awesome, and it's a game that I'm very excited about. But then, on the same date, we're also getting Toy Soldiers HD, which is actually a port of a Xbox 360 arcade title.
Yes.
It's like this strategy game. That game was really fun.
It was really good.
It sounds like you played it as well, right, Sean?
I did, yeah, man. That's a really good game. But again, like, is it Game Pass? Is it like that's something that I have a lot of nostalgia for, and it's kind of just innocent, kind of cute fun about it that I don't know if I would spend money on it. Like, it sounds so stupid to say that. It sounds so cheap, but everything is different because of Game Pass, and it's really interesting now that we're really in the thick of it. Game Pass is in a totally different place now than it has been in previous years. And yeah, you look at these release lists a little bit differently. So I'm not sure if this one is coming to Game Pass or not.
Yeah, I don't think it is, but I mean, you never know. They might announce it between now and then that it is coming to Game Pass.
Yeah,
so.
it could be a winter sale, something like that I pick up either on Black Friday, or they always have like an amazing sale at the end of the year. But I like it in my collection, like to revisit it maybe for an afternoon. And even that is something that we don't often talk about. Is do you ever buy a game either on sale, or do you ever play a game on Game Pass and you're just like, this is just what I want for today, and that's perfectly fine. There's probably a lot of games like that. There's probably a really interesting list that we could put together of like, if you have a couple hours and you're okay with sort of having a, one night stand with a game, that'll be it. We'll have a list of one night stand games. You know what I mean? Where there's no commitment to it. You just play it and you have a nice romp, and then you walk away.
You call it a day. We'll call it like the Blockbuster rental episode, Sean, where you rent it from Blockbuster and you
that's
return
a good
it the
way
next
to put
day
it.
kind of thing.
That's a little more PG. I like the love them and leave them kind of thing.
Makes sense. And then the last game on this list, also coming out on September 30th, is very much a Ryan Turford game. But I had to mention it here because we will, Sean, have a review for this on the Yumi Capri channel as well as the Xbox Drive channel, and that is Melty Blood Type Lumina. I'm a huge fan of fighting games. I love fighting games. My favorite game of the year is currently a fighting game with Guilty Gear Strive, and Melty Blood has been a game I've been hearing about on PC forever. It's like this really fun 2D, arcade style fighting game, similar to other games like Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue, or whatnot. But it's based off an anime called Tsukihime, which is like this older anime about vampires that I really loved. So I'm really excited to finally get a chance to play this for the first time because it's coming to Xbox as a series for the first time. So I am excited to pick this one up on September 30th. And again, I'll be telling y'all about it in a review kind of towards the end of the month. So look out for that on the channel as well. And those are all the games coming out this September, Sean. Lots of games. Let me tell you what.
This week really is, we kind of front load it, to be honest. Like this, we're probably good after this week, and whether or not it's a day one thing for me for Tales, I will be playing. That's one that really jumps up for me. And really glad to see that it gets, what is some sort of like return to Xbox? Is that the deal? Like we haven't had, because Tales of Berseria did not come to Xbox. There's been Zestiria that was on Xbox.
The only other Tales game that came to Xbox was Vesperia, which was originally a 360 exclusive, and then it got re-released on everything when the definitive edition came out a few years ago. But that's the only Tales game that's ever been on Xbox.
And it's currently on Game Pass too, isn't it?
Yes, it is actually.
I think people can actually try that one out. Yeah.
I couldn't remember if it had left yet, but I know that it is still probably on Game Pass, so you can definitely check it out there. But yeah, so Tales of Arise, it's actually a big deal that it's coming to Xbox at all. I'm actually surprised that they're releasing it there and not just on PlayStation and PC.
It's a big win.
Around.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. All right, Sean, let's let some of our friends into the car with us. It is time for the carpool. Of course, listeners at home, if you want to be part of the carpool, there's a number of ways to do that. Of course, if you follow us on Twitter at YouMeCapris, you can actually leave a question on our question post that we put up every Tuesday. Usually it has Sean creepily talking into the camera or doing other things with the kids. We got a lot of comments about that one, Sean. Let me tell you what. So
I got some issues with my back this week and with my neck, so I may have taken a muscle relaxant, and that's what you get, you guys. you get drugged up Sean on Twitter sometimes. So stay tuned for more.
Makes sense. Or if you're watching us on YouTube and you want to leave a question in the YouTube comments, we'll answer that on the show. Or you can join us on Discord and just leave your question on the Xbox Drive post. Just make sure to tag either Sean or I in there so we actually see the question that it's for the show, and we'll read it here as well. Just like Dannohh on Discord said, and he asked, regarding the Series S console, in your opinion, since we both own Series S's at this point, what is the one drawback and benefit that people should know about before making a purchase / upgrading decision? Also, how would you build the middle of the ground console between the Series X and S? And would it be an upgraded Series S or a downgraded Series X? So that's actually an interesting question, Dannohh, because the Series S, first of all, I don't know if you could really make like a really good between the Series X and the Series S, because for the most part, at least a lot of the as far as the internal components are concerned, other than it being downgraded with some stuff, for the most part, I don't know how much you can improve that without, just going the full
Series
distance.
X. Yeah,
exactly. And then at that point, because otherwise, then you just pretty much have a Series X, but with no disk drive, essentially, and a smaller hard drive.
Well, and it depends on what you're actually trying to do. Like, are you trying to create an additional price point for people to make up for some of the shortcomings? That's kind of what it sounds like to me with this question. And I think that one thing that I actually maybe sort of predicted at some point was like that there would be a diskless version of the Series X that they could price. I don't know. I mean, PS5 has $100 difference, right, between the disc and the diskless version. I think that could be kind of interesting, but it probably would knock out even any case for the Series S to really exist. If you had, what is it, $499 for the Series X and then $399 for, say, a diskless one, and then is it $299 for the Series S?
Yeah, it's $299.
I'm always having to convert to, which is also nice round numbers in the US. How does that hit you, first of all, in terms of like those three price points? If they introduce a third one where the only difference really for the sort of altered Series X would be a diskless version, like I don't think that's a terrible thing. I don't know how that hits you though.
Yeah, I don't think that's a terrible thing either. In fact, I think it wouldn't totally kill interest in the Series S, because I do think that price point is one of the best selling points of the Series S, especially because that's basically the same price as a Switch at that point. Like you're being able to play next gen games at that point with actual frame rates as opposed to what we see on Switch sometimes. So I do think that plays into it for sure. So I do think that they could probably get away with doing something like that, and it'd probably be totally fine.
Yeah, I think the couple of key detractors on the Series S, having had one, and for me, the Series S plays a very special role. Like there's a very specific reason why I have it, and it's for streaming. It's because I'm not going to be streaming in 4K. I don't have it attached to a 4K monitor or anything that is really even equipped to do any of the Series X stuff. So for me, like it's perfect for my display and for what I'm using it for. So I think that there's a lot of people perhaps in that situation, whether or not they're streaming or they just have a screen that isn't going to necessarily do 4K. Perfectly fine for that case. Obvious drawbacks are the hard drive isn't necessarily there. And then the other thing that is a little bit complicated and hard to really wrap up in a concise answer here is that sometimes the enhancements that you get on the Series X, like they're not even like scaled down for the Series S. Sometimes the enhancements don't exist at all, right? Yeah. Where really all that you're getting is maybe the faster hard drive, which is a good thing. But I think one example that comes to mind is Outer Worlds, which really ran quite poorly on the Series
anything
S.
backwards compatible, because like anything that received Xbox One X enhancements, you don't get that on Series S. So that is definitely a huge downgrade if you are not playing anything that came out recently. Because I've noticed that since the Series S has come out, you start to see less and less of that with games that are that are developed simultaneously for both consoles. But when you go and revisit older games, you're absolutely correct. Like that's one thing that I was going to bring up as well. Like as someone who plays a lot of old games, like that's kind of a deal breaker in some way, because you essentially get the 1S version of those games, which in a lot of cases is not nearly as good. And especially if you go back and play some of the OG Xbox games, because they essentially look like the same as they look on the original Xbox versus, a lot of the really good enhancements that we got when a lot of them got 1X enhancements. So I think that's a big bummer. Also, again, like I'm not someone who collects physical Xbox One games, but I know that's a huge miss for a lot of people too. A huge drawback. Like even those type of people are going to be willing to spend the $500 to get a Series X at that point just so they can play physical media. Even though I'm not that person, because I'm mostly the only physical system I collect for now that's a new console is Switch, but the other two consoles I don't.
Same here, oddly enough. Yeah, it's so strange, the handheld one that I've got all the cartridges for. So weird.
Yeah. That's the way I am too with it. So it just depends on what you're looking for. I guess I and we're going to kind of transition into Jordan at JLA_15's question, because this is something that transitions nicely into it. I'm actually going to be selling my Series S because Jordan asks, are either of you guys getting the new Halo Infinite Special Edition console or controller? And Jordan, I actually picked up the Halo console, so I'm going to be getting that this fall. So it is going to be replacing my Series S, because I usually keep the Series S in kind of my streaming and capture setup. But now I'm going to have two Series X's and a Series S at this point. I'm like, okay, that's a bit overkill.
Yeah.
And I really wanted that Halo console and that controller, so I'm thinking of maybe putting my launch Series X now in kind of the spot where my Series S is, and then putting like the big, new console in kind of my living room setup.
Did not take long. No, it didn't take long at all for us to go from 1 to 2 to possibly 3 Xbox Series console households, man. I'm kind of with you on this, and it's exactly what I asked for, before they actually announced it. I was hoping that they would announce something like this. I would actually really like to get my hands on one. But the thing that is kind of keeping me from being 100% in on it, like you are, Ryan, is really just is the display in our household. So it would not replace the Series S that I have, because it just doesn't make sense to have a Series X at my PC here to stream from. That makes almost zero sense for me. But the kids are getting older these days, and they're sleeping a little bit better, and so I might be able to upgrade the TV on the main floor, and I might want to have an Xbox Series X attached to that one. So I might be doing a TV upgrade on the main floor, and maybe do the Halo Infinite console attached to that as well. So I might be having some 65, 70-inch gaming on a Series X. And if that's the case, that's my upgrade plan for this holiday. And it would only make sense for me to get the Halo one. Obviously, that's clear to me that would be the option this holiday season,
Plus, it comes with a digital copy of Halo Infinite, Sean. So there is that to go
Obviously,
for. It's on Game Pass, but it's just very silly.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
All right.
Does it come with a steel case? Probably not. It's just the game, just a digital
No,
code.
it's just a digital code. That's it.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care.
But as far as the Elite 2, I didn't bite on the Elite 2 because, at this point, I'm waiting for them to come up with a new Elite controller.
Same here. I think I'm selling my Elite controller, to be honest with you. Yeah. I think I'm done with it. The controllers that come with it are so good, which, by the way, you can get a free controller for rating us on Apple Podcasts. You get this Goon Squad Space Jam controller. It's amazing. It's very purple, very nice. So there you go, Ryan. These controllers are great.
Very nice. Next question comes to us from Hopple. He asks, first, I would love to know your favorite Xbox 360 games that are not backwards compatible on Series X.
Snap.
He notes that he could go listen to the Roundabout episodes from mine, but he's thinking of getting an Xbox 360 again. So, Hopple, I actually have good news for you, because I actually have some 360 games here on my desk that I'm going to show you that are not backwards compatible, that I don't think I actually mentioned on the Roundabout. So before I go to you, I'm going to bring these up. So first up, Condemned Criminal Origins is a really fantastic game, but that one's backwards compatible. But its sequel, Condemned 2 Bloodshot, which is also a really good game, is not backwards compatible.
You take me on a journey with this stuff.
So if you like horror games at all, I think you're going to really dig Condemned 2 Bloodshot. It's a really good game. So there's that one. Of course, you can't go wrong with any of the rhythm games on Xbox 360, especially because none of them are backwards compatible, because we've got Rock Band 4, Hero, which are all over the place. But Rock Band 3 in particular is the one I recommend going to go pick up, because it's awesome. It's got a guitar in it, and it's got a great song package, and then you can have all the DLC songs too. It's much better than I think Rock Band 4 is. So there's that. Transformers, War for Cybertron.
Yes.
This is from Activision and High Moon Studios. Even though it's a Transformers game, you would think, man, licensed games are never good. No, Transformers War for Cybertron, though, really fun game. So I highly recommend that one. And the last one, of course, I would be not Ryan Turford if I didn't recommend an RPG. So Eternal Sonata is my choice.
That's a good one.
This is from Bandai Namco, where you essentially travel to a fantasy kingdom that exists in a dying Chopin's fever dream, essentially. But it's just a really fun turn-based JRPG, and I highly recommend it. One of the best RPGs on 360, and it's not backwards compatible. So those are the 4 that I came up with. Sean, I know you don't play too much 360, but do you have any picks for this?
Well, you might be my live fact checker here, Ryan, because I don't know. I don't have the list of backwards compatible games memorized. So I'm going a little safe on that front, because I'm pretty sure that's the case. Sports games in general Tiger Woods and NHL, those types of games were my jam back in the day. But the one that I will call out specifically is Fight Night Round 3. Was excellent, and I'm fairly certain that one did not make it to.
It did not.
Yeah, that one is so good. It still holds up. Like the look of it, the way that it feels, the dual stick kind of action on it, I think is really, really good. I'm kind of just like flipping through my list here of like achievements from back in the day, and man, I was playing Call of Duty. I was playing. Oh, look at this, Sonic the Hedgehog for the 360. Is that one backwards compatible, Ryan? Probably.
No, it's Sonic 06.
Oh wow, really? Is it bad? I don't even remember if that's good.
The original Sonic the Hedgehog? Yeah, that's the game's real
for
bad.
360. What about
But
Quantum
you know
of
what?
Solace?
It's one of those games where it's like, it's so bad that you'll get a laugh out of it if you play it.
Okay, I might have to fire that up again. What about Quantum of Solace, the James Bond
That
game?
one's not backwards compatible.
That's
that game,
my pick.
I can test you. That game's really good too.
That was pretty good, as well as the Bourne, whatever it was, Bourne Identity?
Ultimatum.
Ultimatum. Oh, yeah, very, very good. Yeah, that game is great too.
Yeah, that one's also not backwards compatible. So yeah, check that out. In fact, pretty much any licensed games that appeared on 360 that were really good, like X-Men Origins Wolverine, for example, was another one.
That's a good one. Mm-hmm.
None of those games are backwards compatible because of the licenses. So I highly recommend checking out a lot of licensed games, especially if you're into licensed games on 360.
What about Fear? Do you remember Fear? Did that make it backwards compatible? I think it
did not, and those games are really good too.
Oh, that's my number one pick. Fear is excellent. Fear 1 and 2, very, very good. Yeah.
And the Fear 3 also is a really good game too, if you never played it.
I never played that one. I can't speak to it.
They also had expansion packs for Fear 1 as well that had their own disc on 360 as well, which all of those are good too. So
there you go.
In fact, I played it on stream last year, I think on the Xbox Drive stream. So last but not least, last question comes to us from TPR, who wrote in multiple questions a few weeks ago, and we've been slowly going through them. Exactly. But we're getting close to the end. He's got one more question after this one, and he asks, you get a third-party surprise to Game Pass this fall. What game is it and why? Insert comment here about Dying Light 2 to start Donnie frothing at the mouth for it.
That's the one. It's Dying Light 2 would be absolutely my pick. It just complicates things. That's a tough week with Halo right around. Was it the next day is Halo? That would be massive for me, dude. I'm already getting a ton. Back 4 Blood is a really good example. FIFA and NHL, we're going to get 10 hours with EA Play and all that kind of stuff. Those are the ones that definitely jump. Oh, Riders Republic will be my pick, actually, after your glowing kind of preview a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
That's the type of game that I would love to see on a service like Game Pass, because I think it would get so many more people to play it, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, honestly, I did not want to get hope this week, but for those who have been paying attention on Twitter, in the same way that Alan Wake Remastered got leaked via the Epic Game Store, Final Fantasy VII Remake got leaked for the Epic Game Store as well.
What?
Which probably points to it coming to Xbox this fall.
Did it really?
Yeah, so it was the exact same way from the database. It was literally the same morning. But they just haven't announced it yet.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's given me hope that Final Fantasy VII is coming to Xbox this year.
Does it count as answering the question if we just name 5 games?
It could. You never know.
Because Lost Judgment was one that we've come accustomed to on Xbox, that those Yakuza games are Game Pass games, and the fact that Lost Judgment is not. It might, I don't know, maybe I'm speaking on behalf of too many people here, but I feel like it's a little jarring to many of us, Yeah.
Well, they didn't do Like a Dragon Day 1 either. It was
not
really
day
just
one. That's true.
Yeah, it was really just the remakes that they did day 1, like Yakuza 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then as well as Origins,
Like a Dragon did get there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did get there eventually, which is why I think Lost Judgment will get there eventually, which is why it'd be interesting to pick it up right away, but I'm it's going to probably come to Game Pass in 4 months at this point. So knowing Sega and Yakuza, so I think I'll just wait on it. So there you go. Those are our picks, TPR. I'm interested to see what happens this fall with Game Pass, because I do think there will be something that gets announced for this. But enough about that, Sean. We got to get going before we go. Sean, plugs go.
Quick plug for the show itself on youtube.com/YumiCapri. I want to know what people are going to be picking up this fall, or this September at least, of the games that we talked about. I want to know what people are picking up there. But you can follow me on Twitter at Sean Capri. It's Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. And I stream at twitch.tv/Sean Capri. Saturdays, it is Halo time. We're going to do Halo 4. So I'd love to have people stop on by and hang out. That'd be super fun.
Very nice, my friend. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. You also find us on Twitter at Yumi Capri's, as well as on YouTube, youtube.com/Yumi Capri, and on podcast services around the globe, So for Sean Capri, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 206 of the Xbox Drive, and we're out. Bye.
I thought there was going to be a lot more games coming out in September, to be honest with you. That was, I don't know if it was underwhelming or overwhelming, but hopefully you guys had fun talking about all those games with us. We're going to talk about more games in the future and playing lots of games. I just got an email from a PR contact that we'll have more exciting things to talk about next week too. Bye! The Xbox Drive is fueled by patrons at patreon.com/UmiCapri. And from the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful to the nearly 70 patrons who support us each and every month. With special thanks to our CaPremium producers, Dallas Ford, Lee Navarro, the fearless leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team, and Johnathan Brown, the man behind the music on the Xbox Drive and the Nintendo Drive. You can support Johnathan Brown at youtube.com/gamingpurplemonkey. Our platinum producers, Robby Bobby Miller and TruckerSloth, and all of our gold members, ARGO, Benjicong, Brendan Myers, Dallas Robbins, Dannohh, Emily O'Kelly, Fulish Fuji, Heather Boney, James Johnson, Dr. Doom, Joel Brooks, Jose Jimenez, Mac Time, Marcus O'Neill, Mr. and Mrs. Nasty Boots, RJ Kern, Skinny Matt, and Xavier Reyes. If you'd like to support this show, go to patreon.com/UmiCapri and choose the Patreon tier that works for you.